안녕하십니까. 다음 발표를
Hello everyone, I am Hanjun of KIAST. I'm working at the certification AVSEC Human Certification System Office. So our previous speaker has briefly touched upon the UAS certification project and standards. And I'd like to talk about AVSEC Equipment Certification System in Korea. So this is how I will proceed with my presentation. First, I will briefly introduce you about the Korean certification system about aviation security equipment and related roles and responsibilities of our institute and what we have been achieved so far. So first, let me briefly tell you something about the AVSEC Equipment Certification System. This certification system in Korea has been in effect since 2018. As you know, the Korean AVSEC equipment, most of these kind of equipment are imported equipment. They are coming from overseas. But as the technology for the local equipment has been advanced, more and more locally made equipment have been adopted at the airport, and that is why we are making a lot of efforts for the advancement of the Korean AVSEC certification system. It has been more than 10 years that the advanced countries such as the US and Europe have been established their AVSEC certification system. So, compared to those advanced countries with relatively developed AVSEC certification system, Korea has much room for improvement. But in Asia Pacific region, Korea is doing very well. So this is how the Korean certification system is organized. There's MOLIT, which is a certification authority, and there's KIAST, which is a certification institute, and there's Korea Testing Laboratory, which is a testing institute. So MOLIT is involved with overall operation of the certification system. For example, it is also involved with enactment and amendment of the related laws and regulations, and it is also involved with designation, management, and supervision of the testing laboratory. And KIAST is a certification institute, so the KIAST is conducting certification reviews, and it also issues certificates, and it also reviews and approves the performance test results, and it also conducts audits the manufacturer quality system, and we also support and we are involved with international cooperation as well. And the actual, we are also, as I've said, we also carry out the test performance. There's the testing institution called KTL, which performs the AVSEC equipment performance evaluation test, and it also seeks to improve test procedures and methodologies. And there's two certificate management activities. First one is performance certification, which is done first. So this performance certification applies to manufacturers of aviation security equipment. So these AVSEC manufacturers submit applications with our institute per model, and their equipment will be reviewed by the performance committee for approval. And on the right-hand side, there's another type of activity under the certificate management, which is performance test. And this performance test applies to equipment operators. And this is designed to extend durable time for 8 KAVSEC equipment items that are currently being used at the airport in Korea. So the equipment operators submit applications for the performance test with our institute. And the maximum year to extend the durable time is 2 years. So on the bottom of the screen, there's a procedure for certification from step 1 to step 5. So there are 5 steps for the certification procedures. This procedure is for performance certification. So for the procedure for the performance test, you only need to exclude one step. So the biggest difference between performance certification procedure and the performance test is that performance certification is for manufacturers, whereas performance test is for equipment operators. So for the performance test, we only carry out the performance test for existing equipment. So these are the 8 equipments that we are carrying out the test. So ranging from X-ray screening systems to metal detectors. So and it also shows in the bracket, you see the number of years, and that describes the the durable time for each model. And next, I'd like to touch upon roles and responsibilities of our institute. So I'm going to start from the top left corner. So the first activity that we are involved in is performance certification. We directly communicate with the equipment manufacturer to carry. So these equipment developer or manufacturers contact us and they submit application with our institute for performance certification, and then we inform them of the necessary procedure, including the cost. And KIAST also carry out performance tests, and after we conduct the test to assess the quality of the equipment. The testing lab carry out the test on the equipment and in the presence of our experts. And based on the result of the test, the KIAST committee comes in to approve, to make a final approval on the equipment. And next, I'd like to move on to the performance test. So this performance test, so we collect the status of the usage of all the KAVSEC equipment that are currently used at the airports across the country every year. So I collect information on how many years each item has been used, etc. So we receive applications for performance tests for these used equipment to extend its service life. And there are standards for that performance test. Just like the standards for performance certification, the standards for performance tests are specified by the government. So these are 2 big tests that we are carrying at our institute. And we are also involved in projects to support the R&D of novel high technology-based equipment. And we are also involved in developing the standards of of Technology for Certification in collaboration with MOLIT. And as I've said, we are involved in projects to develop standards, and we are also involved in expanding collaboration with overseas institutes. So these are four big roles of KIAST.
다음 페이지는 저희 이제 항공보안 장비 시행 5년차 동안 성과에 대해서 간략히 말씀드리겠습니다.
Next are our achievements so far.
신청 건수는 5건이고 현재
So we received 5 applications. If you look at the first and second column, there's manufacturer A and B. And you can see what kind of equipment that each manufacturer has applied their application for. So the first two items, the certification process for the first two items has been ended, while the rest 3 are undergoing.
다시 엑스레이.
So the third one is the X-ray for cabin, and the fourth one is ETD, and the last one is X-ray for cabin, which is also ongoing. So so you can see at the bottom of the slide, you can see 5 steps that we carry out for performance certification. So as there are some fail at obtaining performance certification. In that case, they try again and they reapply for their performance certification. And let's move on to the performance test achievements. We had started our task for the performance test since last year, and since last year we have successfully performed these kind of performance tests for the used equipment at the airport or other operators. So as of last year, we have received application for LEDS and AIT, NSSC, which is shoe scanner. So our inspector participated in the review process for the performance test. And next is R&D achievements. Our R&D activities are largely divided into 3 sectors. One is development, second research, third collaboration. So as for the development, we are involved in the development activities for test material, test kits, and certification management system. For example, we are in the process of developing test materials for better our system and to better our test kits to detect explosives, for example. And we are also in the process of developing certification management system. And next is research R&Ds. So our institute is also developing test methodologies, and we continuously support the modification and revision of related laws and regulations. That is why we are making a significant effort in research activities to do so, especially related to security system technology. And we are also involved in doing R&D to support aviation law and regulations. And the next is collaboration. We collaborate with equipment manufacturers. We also collaborate with operators in airport and air cargo sector, and we also collaborate with international certification authorities. And as for our collaboration with equipment manufacturers, we have a meeting with them annually to further the collaboration. And we also collaborate with operators in airport and air cargo sector. And while collaborating with them, we collect their opinions. And we also identify and look for the current status. And we also carry out international collaboration. And we plan to further our collaboration with the International Certification Authority. And we are concluding our agreement. And after this agreement is concluded, we will be able to carry out joint projects. So these are 3 R&D activities that we are involved in. Let's move on to the last part. So as you know, today's event is for the AAM, and we are also involved in improving aviation security for AAM. Last year, we had conducted research in 3 parts: qualifications, screening, and standard last year. And these 3 areas are closely related and connected in our project. As for the qualification, it involves qualifications for UAM operators, the UAM operators requirements, and UAM. We have identified UAM operators requirement and UAM operator qualification standards. As you know, UAM, we expect that UAM will fly from city to city. That is why we believe that rapid screening system will be required at Verti hubs. That is why we have carried out this research project in developing rapidly screening system in Verti hubs and screening system as well. And we have also studied and researched standards for the screening technology for passengers, and also we have also conducted studies and research on UAM cybersecurity standards. And this is for your reference. At the moment, as you know, we are involved in KAVSEC equipment testing and certification process, and we have received, with the support from the MOLIT, we are currently conducting a project. Our institute is a leading institute in this project, and we are involved in this project to develop the National KAVSEC Equipment Testing and Certification Center, which will be completed in 2023, which is next year. And when that center opens next year, we believe that we can take our KAVSEC sector to the next level. With this, I'd like to wrap up my presentation. Thank you so much.